Derek, rural investor. Today I wanted to take a moment and discuss AI. We're going to relate it to investing, but we're going to relate it both to some stocks. Meta and Microsoft reported today after hours. Chips and memory stocks are getting hammered, and we'll talk about that too. But it's more than just is there demand. It's how you should be using AI if you're actively investing. I'll see if I can find a link. I don't know if it exists, but I was listening to Bloomberg while I was driving around for work in the car. And there was a segment, and it was a higher up person at JP Morgan Chase. He runs or is in charge of their ETF division. I didn't catch the beginnings of it as closely as I would have liked. But he went into this spiel, and he was talking about how the other 493 stocks are seeing some growth, and it's great to spread, all this money around finally. And the interview was very mundane. So for the last question, and the question was posed to this gentleman of, what are you guys doing with AI? And he went on an extended answer, and I think this is pretty telling about how the fund managers in his division have been using AI. And he specifically said things that used to take hours, days, even weeks are now down to a few minutes to a couple of hours. This is the ETF division of JP Morgan Chase on a Bloomberg interview. I don't remember, it was the beginning of this week. What day is today? It's Wednesday, so probably the end of last week. Talking about how they use AI to do their research now, and it has compressed their time. Here's the thing. You have to check it. You have to know what an agent is. You have to train it. Just like, you would create a spreadsheet in Excel. I use Excel, so that's why I picked that spreadsheet name. And you would develop your formulas and your links and bring your data together, or maybe query it, or you drop it into a BI, right? I don't want to go too far into the tech side of this for people who aren't familiar with it, right? There's a setup time for AI. And the setup time isn't a whole lot of technical jargon. It's more like a back and forth conversation about what you want. And so you can address time periods and have it check data sources and ask it if it did a deep think about what it returned for an answer. And it will tell you, no, I made assumptions to save some time and money. And you can be like, oh, this is a deep think question. It'll go back and it'll comb through more information. It's worth a 15-minute section of your life to go find a YouTube video on ways to prompt AI to do financial research. If you don't like spreadsheets, if you're not doing a bunch of in-depth things, you don't need to know any formulas or really any data crunching. What you need to know are the right questions, and just understand how to train an AI conversation or an AI agent to do the things you're looking to do. When it comes to my research, right, I look up my own stuff, but at this point, right, I can watch a YouTube video, see a chart that I want to question. The patient investor, I'll put a link to his video, had a great chart, showed the PEG ratio for the last 30 years on the S&P 500, including the great financial crisis. This is the cheapest we've ever been, at about a 0.8 PEG ratio. We have never been more pessimistic about the communicated growth rate versus what us as investors are willing to pay for. There's this giant disconnect. And I went, oh, this guy's great, but I got to double check that. Screenshotted it, dropped it into AI. It went back and was like, yes, this is how this can be done. This is a factual comment. You could trust this. And you can look at things differently. You don't have to take that chart, as something you want to use in your thesis. But AI was able to verify that really quickly. And it's not a random AI chat. It's a chat that I have trained for months and months and months and months. with conversations, just prompting. Hey, I looked up the PEG ratio for NVIDIA. I found that it is, 0.3. What do you see? And it would come back with NVIDIA is a 0.8. And you have to ask, well, I looked at it for a year. And it's like, well, I looked at it for 5 years. And you just go back and forth a little bit. You can use Gemini, ChatGPT, Grok, the free versions. We're not talking about paid here. There's no reason to pay for this stuff at the moment. Just look at the ads or whatever and move along. But it's wonderful. It will chart, it will graph, it'll compare. And once you hone it in through conversation, again, not really any technical skills needed, it becomes such a tremendous weapon. So that's my little AI soapbox bubble. If you're not using it, your life is harder than it needs to be, especially when it comes to investing. If AI is available to you, get to know it. It's amazing. It will make your life better and easier. It doesn't do the thinking for you. It helps you explore your own thoughts more deeply and from multiple angles quicker. That leads me into why I am also investing in some of these big tech companies. It's not just the JP Morgan interview. It's also the experience that I have along with the valuations. AI has made my job significantly easier and or with the ability to do more detail. Actually, I just had a lengthy discussion about another AI user at work, and she was like, yeah, I can now do this and this and this, and I have this and that running on AI over there, and I've honed it in, and it has sped up our production exponentially. And that leads us to the demand side. If just a YouTube investor right here has found value in it, and I find value at work, and JP Morgan openly stated on a free radio station, Bloomberg, that they're investing heavily in AI because of how much more production they can get from their fund managers. There's going to be demand. Is it going to be the highest demand estimate out there? Probably not. But this isn't a bubble. These companies are profitable. They are growing revenue. They are growing their backlog despite all of the new data centers that are opening up. NVIDIA is sold out of chips. AMD is sold out of chips. Intel is sold out of chips. I can't help but think this is such a fast change, because my life 3 months ago at work is very different from my life now. Once we got the paid version of Copilot, night and day difference. That what we're seeing is the early adopters jumping in on something, and the mid to late to resistors are just throwing a fit about how this is like the dot-com bubble, and nothing can go up that fast, when in fact a lot of these companies have gone up a lot slower than their earnings. And I don't really get into the memory stuff. It's been too volatile to me, although I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at it because I have FOMO. I'm looking at it because they've now entered into these long-term contracts with companies like AMD and NVIDIA. This cigar is also one of the free gift. Again, nothing wrong with the cigar, just not my style. But these chip companies have entered into long-term contracts. And what they have been able to do is, instead of this boom and crazy bust cycle where you don't want to pay more than high single digits of a PE ratio for these things, they have talked about how they have created ranges for these companies to pay based on demand. And just today, Micron talked about how the low end of these contracts are significantly higher than anything they've experienced in the past. The companies are willing to pay because the demand is there, and we're seeing everything just collapse in on itself. And you sit and watch the live earnings, and people are saying Micron down to 500, 400, maybe. 400 is a forward PE of 2. And so maybe it gets there, but that's the type of fit that we're seeing. It has, to me, more to do with people resisting change than it does the environment of the businesses because they're growing, there is demand, they're producing it. The low end of the totem pole, the memory makers for a long time, have been able to insulate themselves to provide a more elevated and consistent earnings, right? Which is great. Again, not in them yet, but I'm watching to see how far down they'll go, and I'm going to be interested to test some of these contracts, I think. So then you get to something like Meta, and they had a one-time charge on lawyer fees and another one-time charge, and they missed their earnings per share. If you look at Meta's history, they do this from time to time. If you look at their Q3 earnings, the one that they're about to lap, they're minuscule. They're going to post a monster beat for Q3. And overall, their 4 quarters, including the next one, Q3, are going to be 10 or 15% higher, probably, for earnings than their previous 4 quarters. They're projecting revenue growth in the upper 20s. And they're looking at it. You're looking at a PE ratio of what are they at? 17 now after today's rough down spell? Just cheap stuff. They're a couple quarters away from being as cheap as they were when they went from 99 to 500. Right? We're not far away from these rock bottom silly valuations that Facebook and Google had on some of these stocks. I didn't check Microsoft before I came out here, but I think it popped up to 427, 428. It was back down to like 417. Microsoft had an absolute monster quarter. I still think it's cheap. I think it got cheaper, but I didn't do the math on it, even being up 7% because of how good their earnings were. Cloud accelerated to 43% growth because of the demand. They talked about the usable life of the data centers extended out to 25 years, which I know is a tax thing as well, but it just shows the runway. They talked about expanding their backlog. They talked about just incredible growth numbers, up the guidance. The woman who gives the financial updates, I always forget her name. I felt like I could hear a tone of the stock price is silly right now, the way that she was reporting those numbers today after hours. And I tend to agree with her. An absolute blowout quarter. You're talking about Azure numbers. I think we're growing in the mid 30s, upper 30s, low 40s, and now they're projecting mid 40s. But remember, the numbers, this growth number, the hard dollar numbers have gotten bigger and bigger. So you're 43% on a much bigger number than you were a year ago. And you're projected 45, 46% on a significantly bigger number because it just went up 43%. And you can see how this spirals upward. And their cash flow, when they're stabilizing this CapEx, is going to explode. And you can try to catch it, but just like Meta when it popped 11%, pre-market when most of us are blocked out. I have some access to pre-market, but not the same as some of these brokerages. There's going to be an explosion up. We're all going to run to try to catch it. And, my approach is to sit down. Am I willing to pay this price? Because I think it's going to be a really great return 3 years from now. And I think that we're looking at great returns on most of those stocks. Like, I know Amazon reports tomorrow. We'll see what they get. But I wanted to talk a little bit about AI because I use it in my personal life, and I'm telling you, it makes your life better. It organizes my thoughts for this channel. It gives me the framework. I can spit out this jargon of ideas because I'm an idea person. I've always had a much harder time with admin and organization, and it has just improved my life in that regard personally in so many ways. It's made my professional life significantly more productive. And then you can go listen to that interview. And again, I'll try to find a link. I listened to it on the radio, so I don't know if there's a YouTube link to that particular radio segment or not. Talk about how it's improved the biggest banks in the world's ETF department. And the demand of some kind in a big way is there. And I'm convinced of it. And I think that if you listen and look, you'll see that this is nothing more than an emotional problem for a lot of people who are going to be forced to change, who don't like change. And to me, that's just a situation for people who will embrace change to change the trajectory of their financial lives in a short period of time, because really 2 to 3 years is not that big a chunk of time if you're talking about double, tripling your money. And in our case, potentially doubling the income that we're making right now, going from 50 to 100K, without needing to really put more in. So this is for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence and consult any financial professionals that you see fit. And if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. But do yourself a favor, and if you're not already, go find yourself a good 15-minute video on YouTube that walks you through how to talk to an AI chat and how to create an agent, and then develop that agent around your financial goals. It will change your ability to analyze, to execute, to understand, to feel informed tremendously. So thanks, and have yourselves a good night.